Um, but it's Giving Tuesday, and I am here to ask you to donate to CAPS and to answer any questions that you might have. Um, so please send in the comments and questions. Um, I'm Pete Paxton. I'm CAPS lead investigator, and I am the author of Rescue Dogs, uh, which largely details the work that I've done for CAPS. Uh, Many of the specific investigations into some of the largest puppy mills that have ever existed in the U.S., and also just the general work of focusing on pet stores and puppy mills and how they're all connected. Um, part of why part of why we need donations for this is that this work is complicated. As I'm sure many of you know, if you read Rescue Dogs, you kind of get a little bit of an insight into some of the behind the scenes that goes on. I'm not sure what it looks like from the other side when you see all the videos and you see you see you see photographs of puppy mills and you see video footage of pet stores and stuff, and I don't know if it seems like we just kind of go in and do it. There's a whole lot that goes on behind the scenes, and to be blunt, I don't normally discuss this, but Carol Spencer says hi. Hi, Carol. Thank you for joining. Um, to be blunt, I typically work for what's about 50 to 30% of the wage of the average PI. And part of the reason is that, CAPS is a nonprofit. We just don't have the funding to, to pay. But that's, anyone who's in this, we do it because we love it. But it takes a lot of work to do this kind of thing, and it's increasingly difficult. CAPS efforts that I'd like to discuss with you now, and to let you know if you donate where your money's going, is we have a big focus on trying to get pet stores to not sell puppies, kittens, and other animals, including rabbits, from their stores. Okay, well, hold on. We have a question. Jay Markwell asks, how can we make a difference? You can definitely make a difference by donating, but you can also make a difference in my book, Rescue Dogs. There we go. I have a whole section in the book about what you can do to help dogs in any capacity, whether you can donate, whether you can't, whether you can adopt or whether you can't. What you can do to protest, what you can do to support legislation that is out there. But the different things that I would say you can do as an individual to make a difference is, number one, think local. Donate to CAPS, for sure, because I can tell you right now, I know exactly what the money is going to be used for. I know exactly what investigations that we'll use it for, and what campaign efforts. But you want to think local. CAPS efforts is tied into everything in the rescue movement. The work that we do when we're trying to stop a pet store in New York or Florida from selling puppies and kittens is linked to your local shelter, no matter where you live in America. The fact of the matter is that when stores stop selling puppies and kittens and rabbits, you see euthanasia rates decrease in shelters. And if there's not as many breeders that are in your area, if you're in the middle of nowhere, like if you're in the middle of the Midwest in a rural area, odds are you have a breeder somewhere near you, at least one within your county, that sells to pet stores in New York and Florida, right? And so by focusing on adoption in your local area and supporting the efforts that are outside your state, that actually makes an enormous difference. By donating to help those campaigns that are out of state, that makes a huge difference. But focusing local to help your own shelter, even volunteering at your own shelter, I know this is Giving Tuesday, but I'm going to be real with you. If you can't donate much, if you can only donate a little bit, don't think you're not helping CAPS. If you can only give a little bit, and you can go to your local shelter and you can volunteer and you can go spend time with animals, or you can just go help clean up, that is all part of the rescue effort. Um, And let's see, Teresa and Emily are giving a bunch of love to us online. I see that. Thank you, Teresa and Emily. The other thing you can do, and to plug my book real quick also, but to be very serious about this, is if you get my book Rescue Dogs, you can get it at like Barnes and Noble, but honestly, it's super cheap right now. Like on Amazon, there's like everything has a sale on it, um, and you can the book is best. It's really designed. It's for CAPS supporters. It's information that you can be armed with, so that when you talk to people and they're asking why should I adopt, I know my family, and I know the best dog breeds, and I'm the ultimate dog trainer. Right? Like the book is designed to give you the information to know how to talk to them. It's also really designed so that if you know someone who is on the fence about adoption, right? They're not one of those people that are diehard, like, thank you, Carol, for mentioning you'll get the book. I appreciate it. But if you know someone who's like, they're on the fence, they're not like they have to buy from a breeder. They just kind of think they should, right? They're open to adoption. The book is designed to get them to the adoption side of the fence. I don't want to recommend it as a Christmas gift. It is a pre-Christmas gift. Give it as an early Christmas gift, because you do not want people to buy puppies as Christmas gifts and then read a book about why they should not have done that. So make sure it's an early gift. But we have, unless we have any other questions that come in, I'd like to tell you about some of the other specific efforts that we have going on. So if you donate now, you know exactly where your money's going right now. We have efforts going on in Florida, and we're trying to, while we're trying to stop pet stores from selling puppies and kittens and rabbits elsewhere, Florida is also one of the spots we're working on. As you can see online, I was recently out in Pinellas, out in Florida. Went to a variety of pet stores. I went to some other pet stores in Florida as well. I was out there in 2018, and there was a lot of misinformation and lies that people gave to us. But now we back then we had like half the people saying to us, "Well, we just don't know. We have no idea where our puppies come from. We're just going to be honest, right? We just go online and order them. That's it." Now, what they're doing is now they're just lying. It's much more common for them to give these bold lies, and Petland is the worst about it. So if you go to if you look at the Pinellas video that's on the CAPS website, you'll see what those efforts are and what that campaign is directed to. If we can get places in Florida to stop selling puppies and kittens and rabbits from their stores, it would be an enormous hit to the puppy mill industry. Besides that, of course, we're still focusing on New York. It's an uphill battle, but we're hopeful. The public pressure is there. I think that New York may just not understand how many people are on our side. So if you live in New York, make sure that you let your local politicians know. I know you always hear that, right? A lot of people don't even know who their local politicians are, but I'm very serious about that. Let your local politicians know what it is that you stand for if you live in New York, because that'll be super important, in Florida as well. Besides that, I know that CAPS has supporters that are all over the country. All of you in California that have helped out. I want to take just a brief moment to say thank you for getting the entire state to ban pet stores. That is huge. And don't fall for any of the lies that people say. Maybe it's not lies, but it's misinformation that people say a black market is going to take over. I've heard that from some people. And when you look, you can go online and you can see the adoption rates at some shelters, like in LA County. You can see the live release rate. It's right there online, and you can see that once we got that pet store ban, the live release rate increased at shelters across LA County. Right, euthanasia decreased, live rates increased. So there's always a black market. It's not one for one, and that did save lives. Kathy is asking, thanks for your work in Connecticut. Any efforts going on or planned here? In Connecticut, we're still working. Those efforts are still going on. I remember I've been to all the pet stores across Connecticut. That was fun. and we found them buying from a lot of the same major breeders that we see elsewhere across the Midwest. And the USDA major, licensed breeders. So I know that CAPS is working to try to get a ban across the entire state, but I don't, to be honest, I don't know where that stands right now with the legislators. So you'd have to ask your specific legislator. Um, let's see. It looks as though thank you. Wow, we got a lot of comments coming in. Thank you, Teresa and Emily. Thank you, Teresa, for working on the California effort. Yeah, it's a big deal. I guess I was excited about that. I was very excited. In fact, the California effort is something that gives me hope that we can do things in Connecticut and Florida and New York. Um, yeah, so CAPS is reminding me. You can go to caps-web.org /donate to donate. Even if you can only give a little bit, it goes a long way. I'm here to tell you that. I know that when I go out, to be 100% honest, like I don't know exactly how exactly all the money is spent when it comes to the stuff outside the field. I just know it goes a long way. I know how hard Deborah works. I know I get those calls at like 9:30 at night, from her, and like those emails, like it's like she's up at all hours, Like I know everyone in CAPS is working very hard, but I know that for myself, when the money comes in, again, I have a cheap rate. There's a lot of stuff I just pay for myself, but when it comes to all the personal, like all of the spy gear that I use, all the camera equipment, all that, I buy that myself. I work for several groups, and so your money does not go for me to have, like batteries and camera gear or anything like that. Like I pay for that myself. So your money actually goes really far when you donate to CAPS for field work. So again, it's appreciated. And Teresa says, yeah, okay. Once Teresa's out of the military, she'll be back. Teresa, thank you for your service, and thank you for listening in. I appreciate it. And thank you, Emily, for donating. Very much appreciated. Yeah. Yeah, everybody send this to your friends, and make sure your friends can look in as well, so they can understand exactly where their money is going to, and send them a link to my book if you would. I always feel a little weird about that. It's the only book that I've ever written, and it feels weird always plugging a book. There it is. But the fact of the matter is that it saves lives. That's the whole goal. I wrote it with Gene Stone and a ghost author, Nick Bromley, who I'm going to out immediately because he's such an awesome guy. And I'm very proud of the work that CAPS did. It explains and what it does, but saves lives. So share that. If you find a link to that and share that with people, and share this with everyone. Elsewhere in the country, we have. We're trying to work on efforts anywhere where we can get pet stores banned. That also includes Oregon. So for any of our friends that are out there in the Pacific Northwest, there's some pet stores that are out there, and they're just blatantly violating the law and just not refusing to tell people where the puppies come from. Refusing I was there recently and I asked, and they just refused to tell me where the puppies come from. They even said that once I buy a puppy, they would refuse to tell me who the breeder was, which is, so against the law, right? But they don't care. And I think that it's just that there's a lot of people who don't know, right? They don't know any better. When they go to a pet store, they don't know any better than that they're just supposed to trust people. They don't know the local law. So when you see information like this, like you got this live video, there's my book, there's the CAPS website. When you share information like that, that's important, because I know that sometimes it seems like some of us, like we're in a bubble, right? Like the activist bubble. And we're like, why do they think this? Like, why are these people doing this? And if we keep asking why, and we don't know, and I don't mean for this to sound rude in any way, because this goes towards me too, but if we keep asking why, then we're part of the problem, because we don't know, right? Doesn't mean we can fix everybody, but it means that we have to first understand why. We got to go ask people. You don't have to change them right then. You don't have to convince them of something else, but you got to understand why. You got to go talk to other people to find out why it is that they only want to go buy puppies from a breeder. Why is it that if someone's against adoption, why is it they're leery of adoption or they're opposed to it? Because we got to know how to talk to them. We got to know how to communicate with them. And so sharing information like this video, the book, and CAP's website is something that'll help make them understand what it is that we're talking about. Okay, David says, thank you for the amazing work in Connecticut. We're going to prepare for legislation again in 2023 okay. Yeah. Thank you, David. Okay. That's fantastic. They're going to prepare for legislation again in the 2023 long session. So you can see the comments. You can click on the CAPS video of the work we've done there in Connecticut. Excuse me. And yeah, I'm glad to see that that's still going to good use. And if we get a law passed there, seriously, David, it's difficult to explain this. That's why I had to write an entire book about it, and it's why you see CAPS make so many videos. It's difficult to explain this, but when you Carol wants to see the cover again. There you go. There's rescue dogs. But when you do something like you ban stores in Connecticut, like if that could happen from selling puppies, the impact that it has on the lives of dogs is it's something that people in Connecticut will never know, because we're talking about all of these dogs hundreds of miles away out in the Midwest, languishing in cages and in dirty pens. But it is such an enormous impact. Yeah, so anything that we can do to continue to help you, David, please let us know, because we're very excited for that. And again, yeah, I should add Connecticut State Representative David Mitchell. Is it Mitchell? Am I pronouncing it right? David Mitchell. Thank you. Regardless, thank you very much. Anything we can do to help you out. All right, we're just getting a lot of thank yous right now. I'm feeling the love. I appreciate it. And David says, state representative, Connecticut state representative. David says David Mitchell. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. The French way, he says Michelle. Okay, I think Michelle. I think I got that. We have to break this pipeline. It's easier to ban shops from selling animals from factory farms, aka puppy mills, than changing the USDA rules for the registered facilities. Representative Michelle is completely right about that. That's absolutely spot on. The USDA laws, the USDA regulations that exist for puppy mills. When you look at them on the face, it looks as though they might create conditions that they're very tight, right? It looks like, well, that might be okay for dogs. But again, in the Animal Welfare Act USDA uses, there is nothing at all about the psychological well-being of dogs that are commercially bred. And that's why we see these enormous problems with dogs that are cage crazy and they're spinning around in circles. And furthermore, when you have these exceptions to enforcement, like teachable moments, where, as many of you know, teachable moments is an official USDA policy where a USDA inspector goes in, they see a violation, right? They see that there's some broken cage wire, or it's rusty, or there's cobwebs, or something like that. Then they'll say, well, this is a teachable moment. If you fix that right now, do you think you could? You think if I let you if you could just take care of that real quick, like in the next week or so, it'd be okay? And the person just says, yes, I think I could fix it. So then the USDA inspector literally doesn't even write it down. That way, there's no record of it. So when groups like CAPS try to get records in those puppy mills, it doesn't show a violation, right? And that way, stores can continue to buy from that breeder because they technically don't have a violation. The USDA went a step further, and they have in the Animal Welfare Act the USDA uses to enforce the regulations. Part of it is it's regulation 2.40 vet care, right? And it's that, the dogs have to. There's all kinds of stuff for vet care, but they can't be super matted because then they can have skin conditions created from that, and their teeth have to be okay. They can't have their teeth rotting out of their heads and plaque covering them because that could lead to all kinds of issues. In rescue dogs, you'll read in a chapter called Emma how I rescued a dog that wouldn't breed from a puppy mill for Caps. I was working for Caps when I went out to the puppy mill and rescued this dog, Emma. She's this little 3-year-old Chihuahua, wouldn't breed, and so many of her teeth were so rotted, it had caused an infection in her skull that had gone to her nasal cavity and caused a heart arrhythmia, right? But what the USDA did is they said a dog's teeth and their fur no longer count as a violation to Section 2.40, right? So if the inspector goes in, they don't even have to bother to look at that. Or they see a dog that's super matted and filthy, doesn't count as a violation. That protects the pet stores so that they can buy from them and say they're not buying from someone who has a violation. So Representative David Michel is completely right. It's easier to just pass a state law than get the USDA to have better enforcement or change the regulations. He says that the stores will come testify and say, I do not buy from puppy mills. I buy from USDA registered breeders, which is a play on words. That's exactly the point. They say that they're federally licensed and that they're inspected. And they have all these regulations that they have to go by. And so what we do is we have to, like all of this that I just explained to you, it's a lot, right? It's why I wrote a book on it, because it's a lot. And it's a lot to have to explain in a single meeting with state representatives. And then when I say it, then imagine you're a state representative, you're a member of the public, or especially just imagine you're a legislator. You got to vote on this. And you're like, do I take the word of these activists saying this? Or do I take the word of the federal government, the USDA? And that is why at CAPS, we focus on finding out who sell these stores and going to those exact breeders and then showing the conditions. And that's why we make these videos and we put them online so you can see exactly for yourself what conditions these dogs are living in. But again, it is increasingly difficult. I remember when I started doing this for CAPS back in the day, back in 03 is when I first started doing it. I mean, it was just like wham, bam, like hitting it, like just getting into puppy mill after puppy mill. And, now it's much more difficult. It's much more difficult to get in. It's much more difficult to document things, but we continue to do it, and we continue to find terrible conditions. And then we have a question here. Teresa Louise Carpenter would like to know, how do you protect yourself from threats as an undercover investigator? Are you worried about death threats? Let me address that. Let me address that real quick. You can read about in my book. I have been attacked. I have been illegally arrested for a crime that I didn't commit. I've had cops try to arrest me so many times when I've been working for CAPS when I'm not breaking the law and they think that I am. Death threats are not as common. Honestly, while I have been attacked and I have had threats, I have had people call me and they've been very pissed off and they've told me, "Don't you ever come back here? You won't leave." That kind of thing. Most puppy millers. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I worry about my safety often, but most of these people, puppy millers, they're not bad people. They're really not. I mean, they're good to everyone else in their community. Most of them, right? And it's that there's a culture war in the U.S. and we all understand that, and they see me as the enemy. And I don't agree with that. I understand it. They see me as threatening their livelihood, the livelihood for their family and their community, right? And the reason that is for CAPS that we go so hardcore on the tactics that we do is that there's our point of view as activists, there's their point of view as farmers, right? And they have dog farms, right? But there's the point of view of the animals, the cats and the dogs that are living in these mills. And because of the suffering that they're enduring, that's why we go so hardcore that's why I go undercover. That's why I'll do surveillance on properties and they don't even know I'm looking at them and filming. That's why I'll go into a pet store and film undercover, right? And I don't feel bad about it because I'm trying to protect the animals. But I don't want to think of this as a culture war because these are not all bad people. Most of them are good people. It's that it's that we just want for them to change. I have no problem with them being farmers. Don't want them to farm animals. I don't want them to farm dogs and cats. Um, and let's see. Someone asked if we can gift a book to each of the legislators on the Connecticut committee. That's a good idea. see if they'd read it. Um, that would be funny. Um, yeah, but so anyway, it looks like the time's almost up. But thanks everyone for watching. Thank you for donating, and thank you for sharing all this information. And I'm gonna go on Instagram now and do it again. But everyone out there, if you when you talk to people about this, when you try to change people, thank you for being kind and thank you for being as patient with people as you are informative. The goal is, of course, not for us to try to just feel good about the knowledge we have. The goal is to change people. Thank you for doing that.